DSLR film.
NOOB. Alright guys, what I've got for you today is the Redrock Micro Cobalt Cage. This one's about $100 and it is a metal enclosure for your Hero 3 or Hero 2 or any of the GoPro items for that matter. They make one for the older GoPros as well as the new ones. Basically what this does is it provides full solid metal protection around your entire GoPro cage. Sure, you have that plastic thing that goes over your GoPro and that's waterproof and reasonably durable, but this is designed to drive a car over it or throw off of a building or what have you. Also, something handy about this is that it has tons of 1/4-20 mounting options, so you can put a lot of junk on your Hero if you need microphones and all that kind of stuff. So let's take a closer look at the Redrock Micro Cobalt Cage. Taking a closer look at the Cobalt Cage, you can see that it's got a front protective cover that keeps your lens from getting scratched up when you want to just throw this in your bag. This is all nice machined aluminum and the cage feels really solid. There's 1/4-20s here, across the top, along this little ridge right here, and on the bottom along with these larger screw holes for mounting pretty much whatever you want. This accessory plate on the bottom is removable and you can replace it with something that's exactly the same as the accessory mount for the Hero's plastic cage in case you have something that you want to attach it to that way. Inserting the Hero 3 into this guy is pretty simple. You slide this in like so, pop that down, and move over this cover here and thumb screw that tight. Once it's in there, it's flush on the front with the metal surface, so you don't have to worry about impacts that land right up against it, and it's protected on all sides, making it pretty nice protection for your Hero 3. If you look on the top, you have button access there, button access here, and button access on the front so you can get to all the controls. They've also got a nice little cutout right here that makes it easy to access the USB port as well as the HDMI port if you take advantage of those features. I wanted to give the Cobalt Cage a little bit of an endurance test, so first I'm going to chuck it off of the top of a 2-story building. Alright, so this isn't actually the roof of a 2-story building. This is about a 3-story dike with a cement bottom. I'm going to chuck this off of here and see how it works out. Because I forgot to press record the first 2 times, whoops, this actually got thrown off of that dike behind me 3 times in a row, and it looks to be in relatively good shape. Didn't even scratch the paint thanks to the snow that's down here, and it did no damage whatsoever to the Hero 3 inside. Comparing the Cobalt Cage to another cage of the same price on the market, this is the Combat Cage. The Combat Cage is $99 and the Cobalt Cage is also $99. You can see already that the Combat Cage is missing some of the protection that the Cobalt Cage provides. There's no top protection here, and this is a lot slimmer than the Redrock Micro Cage. Flipping this over, installation on this is a little more tricky as well. With the Cobalt Cage, you simply unscrew this thumb screw here and you can pull your Hero out like so. In order to get your Hero mounted into the Combat Cage, you actually have to push this in, snap it, and then you have to drop this Allen into it in order to get that attached. Once you have that snug down, it limits some of the 1/4-20 holes. This one right here, for instance, gets a little bit of interference, so you can only go about a 1/4 inch in before you run into the screw head. Also note that this does not protect the front or the back of your Hero. Instead, it provides a few more mounting points, although I will say that the Cobalt Cage has quite a few more 1/4-20 spots than the Combat Cage. Alright, so for this test I'm going to drive over the Cobalt Cage with my Ford Ranger here. It's not the biggest truck in the world, but it's got quite a bit of weight. I've seen a few of these videos where they drive over it with an empty trailer, which really doesn't test the durability and strength of this cage. I thought having a full car drive over it or truck would be a better example. So I'm going to place this right here and let's drive over it. Quick tip, if you own one of these cages and you're looking for a way to get cold shoes onto it, this is a little JCC adapter. It's a 1/4-20 thumb screw on one side and a cold shoe on the other. I'll have links in the crotch bar to that, and it makes it pretty easy to just thumb screw this on into one of the 1/4-20 spots And now you have a nice location for a device, microphone, or whatever it is you're using on top of the Cobalt or the Combat Cage. After throwing the Cobalt Cage off of a 3-story dike and then driving over it with my Ford Ranger, it's in relatively good shape. You can see that there are a few scratches and scrapes across the top where it hit the cement, but otherwise it's relatively unscathed. I don't think I would want to do the same thing with this Combat Cage, which doesn't have a top and doesn't protect the front or the back of the Hero 3. If you look here, that's why the size is significantly different. The Combat Cage is much thinner than the Cobalt Cage. Overall, I would say that the Cobalt Cage is definitely a decent value if you're looking for a ton of mounts for your GoPro and you want something that will protect it in extreme circumstances. I wouldn't be too worried if my camera fell off, say, a car or rolled out into traffic or something like that. It would be protected all the way around by this cage itself. The only weak point I found on the Cobalt Cage is the thumb screw right here. You can see that this guy sticks out a little bit, and if you bend it or damage it, you could have trouble getting your camera out of the cage. It's also a little bit important to make sure that that's nice and snug. If this goes flying down the road and that's not snugged on tight, your camera could come loose from the Cobalt Cage. Still, that's a small flaw for a pretty awesome device. Anyway, you can find out more about the Cobalt Cage by clicking on the links in the crossbar below. There'll also be a full write-up over at DSLRfilmnoob.com. As always, guys, thanks for watching. And if you like this content, you should do one of these right here. Yep, that's pretty much the thing you do. You click, click, click on that guy. Yep, and that's all I got.